Hi, nobodies. So, been off for a couple of days. Mainly because I've been trying to figure some things out. So, last night I was talking to a family member that I haven't talked to in a while. Really good conversation. And it's kind of funny, because like there are things that you read and see, things that stick. And you figure you hold on to them for yourself. You're like, this is relatable. I'll hold on to it for myself. And then eventually you find a reason to use it. So, like the first thing is Tyler Perry's Medea character telling a young girl, it's not what they call you, it's what you answer to. This family member is going through a bad time. And they said to me, they're going to say stuff. I've already lost friends because of the stuff that they've said. These horrible things. And in the latest book I'm reading, there is a lot of, you know, when you're codependent, there's going to be a lot of pushback because people expect you to bow. They expect you to let them walk all over you. They expect you to do as you've always done. And when you don't, they don't know how to handle that. So you get pushback. You get called selfish. You get called evil, mean, just all kinds of things. And it's like, oh, because I chose me this time. Because I think I've said it before, or maybe I just wrote a poem about it, but like, people don't remember the 100 times you say yes, but they remember the one time you say no. I've seen it a million times, not just with me, but with other people. I've seen people do things for them over and over and over again. And then when they don't, that person is like, you never do shit for me, blah blah blah. And I'm sitting there thinking, but I've watched that person, like, you're not homeless because of that person. You had money for your car payment because of that person. And you're mad that they won't do this little thing for you when they've done all these big things. So I mean, I've seen it, and that's just how people are. When they're used to you saying yes, that no just really sticks. No. So, you know, and I told this family member, I said, they're going to say things. And these friends you've lost, if they believe these horrible things about you, these things that you feel are not true, if they believe this stuff, if they think so little of you, they never knew you. I'll use my brother as an example of how things go. If my sister-in-law came to me and said, your brother punched me in the face, I'd be like, my brother? My brother. My brother. The guy who never even throws a freaking tool. Like, I have never seen my brother have a hissy fit. I can't recall a time. I think when we were kids, he would yell at me, But like, I'm like, if she came to me and said, your brother did this to me, I'd be like, my brother. Now, I wouldn't completely disbelieve her because there's always pieces of people that you don't see. There are dark parts of everybody. So it's like, well, maybe he did. Maybe he did punch her in the face. But I would go to my brother and say, hey, what's going on with this? What, like, did you punch her in the face? Like, what's the story? And if he said, well, I was doing something and she was in my face and my hand slipped off and I knocked her in the face, it was an accident, I would believe that. That would not be me disbelieving her. I would say, Well, her perception is off. Maybe she thought that he did ball up his fist and punch her in the face, when in all actuality, he was doing something. She was nearby. His hand slipped. She got hit in the face. It wasn't a punch. It was a, like say you're pulling on something and you just freaking your hand moves. Like, it's feasible to me, especially when you know that person, you're like, that person just is never fucking mad. Like, I've never seen them do anything to anybody. Cannot imagine. So that's how you have to look at that. But see, perception, and I think I've talked about it before, but perception is one of those things. There's this movie called Final Cut with Robin Williams. And he's at this funeral. And see, Final Cut, these people are implanted with this chip, and their whole life is recorded onto this chip. Everything they see and hear is on this chip. And they got people that go through this and they make like a memorial of their best memories, I can't remember what they called it. But it's more like a showing. It's like a movie of their life. And a guy comes up to him and he says something like, and forgive me if I get the colors wrong, but he's like, I could have sworn that boat was green, but it was red. Why did I think it was green when it was red? Michel de Montaigne, a guy that lived back in the 1500s or 1600s. I think it's the 1500s. Anyway, he said that man doesn't have enough senses to really see the truth. Your mind distorts it. It just is what it is. This guy in the movie, there are lots of things that you remember from your past that you don't remember quite right. And when you see it happen, you're like, oh. Because, at the end of the movie, or towards the end of the movie, you get to see, like at the beginning, you get to see he thinks he killed his friend. And then towards the end, you get to see that, oh, it wasn't that way. He remembered it wrong. And it's not on him. It's just that the mind, we don't have enough senses for everything to be truth. There's another movie. I can't remember what it's called. It might have been like Eyewitness or Perspective or whatever, but there was a politician on the stage. He got shot, and they pulled people there was like a crowd watching this, and I think there was like a stagehand. They grabbed different people from different areas who said that they saw it. Each person gave a different version of events. They each saw something different. It was the same freaking thing, but they all saw it different because their minds wouldn't wrap around it, or because see, what happens is when something's happening, your mind is processing it. When somebody asks you to repeat it, you have to remember what you saw, because when you see something happening, you don't exactly know what's happening. Like when somebody's getting shot, if you don't see the gunman, and even if you do see the gunman, your mind is trying to wrap around, there's a gunman. He's aiming his gun. He's shooting somebody. It's too much at the moment. You don't realize that you need to be paying really close attention to that moment. So in hindsight, it's probably going to be different to a degree than what you actually saw in the moment, because your mind is going to fill in details. Because as this is happening, you're also thinking things. You're also reacting. There's so much going on when something is happening. And you just don't really have the senses right. We don't have enough. The 5 senses are not enough to tell you everything. And if your mind is messed up in any way, that's going to skew how you feel about something happening. Like, if you see a woman whooping her kid, what are you thinking? Now, see, me, if I see a woman yank her kid up by his hand and she swats him 2 or 3 times, it barely registers to me, because that was my childhood. That was normal. to some people, they would see it as, oh my God, she's beating her child. She's being horrendous. They would say, oh, she jerked that kid up, probably knocked it. She could have pulled his arm out of socket, and she like hit him with full force on his bottom, and he was swaying in the wind, and they truly believed that this is what they saw. They saw a child getting abused. Like this woman just snatched her kid up, and they might even add a belt to the mix. Like, there may not be a belt, but they'll add a belt to it, and then that becomes their truth. There is a well-known case, or at least I think it's well-known. It may not be well-known. Happened in the 80s. I believe it was a teacher. He was accused of messing with his students. The psychiatrists went and talked to these kids after the allegations were made. And the kids, the way that things went, the kids did say, yes, he did this to me. These are people who are grown now, and they honestly believe that this man molested them because of the way that they were questioned. They honestly believe that they were molested. They honestly believe that something happened that didn't happen because of the way that the questioning was. It is not hard to get somebody to believe something that isn't true. If you just work on them, there's certain ways, and a lot of people do this, like in adults. You see gaslighting. Oh yeah, I cheated on you, but it's because you don't pay attention to me. It's like, no, you're supposed to say, you cheated. Like, you stepped away, you fucked somebody else, and you came home. You could have dumped him, then gone and fucked somebody else. It's not his fault that that's how you handled it. It's his fault that you felt, it might be somewhat his fault that you felt like you needed to go. But it's not just his fault. That's the thing people also forget, is that there's 3 sides to every story. There's his side. There's your side, their side, and then there's the truth. The truth is somewhere in the middle, because nobody is completely honest. They might think they are. They might think this is the truth. This is my truth. And it is your truth. Don't let anybody tell you it's not your truth. That this happened the way I remember it. Now, you can let them tell you that, but the thing is that it's not going to be, it's going to be different, because you're not going to see it that way. And they're not going to see it your way, because they see it their way. Somebody else might be able to say, I kind of see, like right in the middle, there's the truth that, the 2 things that 2 sides can agree on is that an event happened. The event happened. Now, what led up to it, how they felt, how they reacted, that is all based on them. It has a lot to do with how they were programmed as children, because a lot of people do not shrug off their child programming. We learn to be adults from our parents. And, I don't think I've met very many people in my life who don't have some major baggage. And a lot of us will minimize it and say, it wasn't that bad. Because we hear stories like with my case, there's, it's like, oh, I was always trying to get acceptance, and I didn't get acceptance. I got torn down verbally, like I wasn't good enough, and they withheld affection from me. To me, it's like, okay, well, I know somebody whose dad raped him and had him rape his sister, and his dad would rape his sister, and, and I'm like, my issues are nothing compared to that. That's bad, and that person might minimize it. I don't know how they would minimize it, but they might. they they would most likely minimize it to say, well, there's people that have it worse. He didn't punch us, or he took us to Disneyland. Like that would make up for the really bad thing that happened to you. And in the codependency book that I've been reading, it says that you have to admit that the event happened. Whatever the events are, different events, because it's never just one event. I mean, some people do have one event, but most of us, it was continued events of various treatment. And, so you have to admit that the event happened. It's not, it happened to a child. It's not the child's fault, but it is the adult's responsibility to accept it and move on and to change. To continue going on with that programming that was instilled in you through emotional abuse, physical abuse, or sexual abuse, you're not healing if you're not accepting it and deciding that you're going to change, because you have to change. You have to change from that, because that programming from abuse, the I'm scared to death, or, oh, dad's in a bad mood, I better make him in a good mood, or I better not bother him, oh gosh, we got to tiptoe on eggshells because he's in a bad mood, and ooh, don't let him see me because he'll get on to me, he's going to beat my ass, like if I do this one little thing, the whole world's going to fall apart, so I better be perfect. Living your whole life like that is exhausting. And change, the people in your life expect you to keep doing that. They expect you to keep saying yes when you don't want to do something. They expect you to keep going, like when they come up and say, oh, I got to do this and I really hate doing that. Oh, let me do it for you. I got it. It's no big deal. I got it. I got you. You're good. I'm good. Like you have to let go of doing that and just let them get to the point where they're like, would you do it for me? Then you say, you know what? I got other stuff to do. I'm reading this book. Because your time is valuable. Your feelings are valuable. You are valuable. And so much of so many people's lives are spent feeling like they're less than. Now, whether that's something that they put on themselves or people outside of themselves put on them, that's a case-by-case basis. Some of us try to pull, we try to pull everybody close. We try to glue everything together. We're just trying to keep it together. Others are like, fuck all y'all. I don't need y'all. I don't want y'all around. Get the fuck away from me. I don't need anybody. I got this. That is the opposite of codependency, and it is just as toxic. When you're throwing up your hands and saying, fuck all y'all, ain't nobody been here for me, y'all ain't ever done anything for me, like that's bad too. You have to learn to be like, okay, calm the fuck down. You don't have to do everything for everybody, and everybody doesn't have to do everything for you. You have to change your thinking, because otherwise you're gonna keep doing the same thing over and over again. If you're codependent, you're gonna keep overextending yourself. If you're counterdependent, you're gonna keep pushing everybody away. You're gonna sulk and start to, one of the things that I find kind of interesting about it is that with the counterdependence, is they lose a lot of empathy for people. And it's like, wow, you stop caring how they feel. Wow. I can't imagine. I can't imagine not thinking about how my actions will make somebody feel. At the same time, I have to ask myself, how do I feel? How do I feel? How, I feel something, but what is that? How do I feel? Do I feel mad? Do I feel irritated? Do I feel sad? Do I feel offended? These are things that I have trouble with, like, because I'm not used to thinking, how do I feel? It was always about how is the air changed? Is my dad's mood lifting up? Is my husband's mood lifting up? Is the sulk over? Is the tantrum over? Can I start cleaning? Or is the couch going to get turned over again? Like instead of asking myself how I feel, I'm testing the air to see about everybody around me. Is everybody okay? Oh, I've got this fixed, but I got to go fix that because now this is dissipated, but the kids are upset, or my sibling is upset, or my mom is upset. So I've got to go fix that bad vibe. I can't imagine not being consumed with how do the people around me feel? How do they feel? How do they feel? When this whole time I've been needing to say, how do I feel? And when I really get to thinking about certain things that have happened in my life, I get really, really upset when I think about how did that make me feel? How does it make me feel now? Like I've actually gotten really angry about certain things and wanted to like call people up and be like, that thing you did 25 years ago, just, you're a fucking son of a bitch. Why the fuck are you still in my, get the fuck out of my life because you should have been gone 25 years ago or 30 years ago, or, like, don't ever fucking talk to me again, you know. But I don't. I just let it go and I let them go. Like, it's over and done with. I'm not going to let it happen again. Plain and simple. It's going to be, how do I feel about this? And the other day, I was actually talking to somebody and they said something, and I immediately knew how I felt. I was like, I'm kind of pissed at you right now. That kind of pisses me off that you would say that, or that you would think that. I'm kind of pissed. I didn't say anything. I just got off the phone real quick, but I was like, I'm kind of pissed about this. I'm kind of feeling indignant that you would think that I don't understand something. Like it was really weird for me to feel that, but it's part of my growth to start asking myself, like, how do I feel? And to realize that it's important. It's not as unimportant as I was always led to believe that it was. It's important that when somebody tells me no, I realize how that makes me feel instead of automatically making an excuse for them and deciding that it doesn't matter how I feel. It does matter. So, anyway, that's it for me tonight. As always, every moment is an opportunity to turn things around. Have a nice night. Bye.